Hello there, and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi. I am your host, Robbie Fox. With me is my co-host, Clem, my co-pilot, Clem, and we are here to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, Part 3. This was, in my opinion, the best episode yet by a long shot. I think it helps that you get the inclusion of the big bad guy that you see over in Clem's corner over there. Wow, I did the point first. I did it on the right side for the first time. That's like the USB when they say you have a 50-50 shot, but I get it wrong every
Yes,
time.
that's
How
a
we doing,
great point.
Clem?
I'm doing good. Spoilers. The
Yes.
big man came and he brought the motherfucking thunder. Holy shit.
I mean, it was unbelievable. It was the Vader that we've been asking to see, and we saw him like in episode 3. We thought we were gonna have to wait till episode 4. Maybe we'll see him. Episode 5, maybe the action kicks off. Episode 6, we'll see. Like, okay, these guys whip their lightsabers out. No, no, no. Spoilers. It happened here. They had a whole confrontation. Vader fucking lit fucking sand on fire like he was the Dudley Boys in ECW sending someone through a flaming table, and he dragged Obi-Wan through that shit. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, they gave us it was more than a taste. It was a full-blown appetizer. It was
Yeah.
something. That was a Stranger Things. We discussed Bob Fox doesn't like mozzarella sticks, which I'm going to try not to bring up here because it lasted about 5 full minutes debate about that. But I felt it's like when you have yourself a good appetizer. I felt satisfied, but I do want more. I want a lot more, Disney. Don't
We're
you
waiting for the entree.
Yeah, remember we were saying how it's like the boxing matches. It would be like the trilogy. At this point now, that this is almost like a sparring session. I'm not even counting this as like part of the card. This doesn't even get like a Wikipedia entry as a bullet point. This is kind of a little footnote. It's like, by the way, they sparred a little bit in the desert. It was kind of cool, but I want some big ass shit coming. I also will say, I'm interested to see your thoughts right now. I think this was your favorite episode of the trilogy of the first 3 so far. But I will say, I do think this show, in my expectations, will be better than this. I'm hoping it's better than.
I
hope
think
this
so.
isn't
I
the high
hope so.
watermark.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I think, like you said, this just kicked things off. This is the two fighters pushing each other at the press conference before the big title fight. That's what it is.
That is a veteran of the fight game right there. That is a great comparison, Bob. I love it. Great.
And like the fight comparisons that we're making here kind of work for me because this was very like Rocky-esque to me, where it's like you see Rocky get his ass kicked in like 3, is it? And then he's got to come back and get back to that Rocky that he was. This is kind of like what Obi-Wan's doing here. I mean, we'll get into the entire episode now. We'll go through it like we did last week with episodes 1 and 2. Just the notes that I took down while I was watching, kind of like the Stranger Things episode. We kick off with an amazing like Vader suit up, and it looked brutal the whole time. Like they're putting spikes into his chest to put the plate in. There's like metal plates going around his burned skin around his neck, and Obi-Wan is hearing all these quotes from the prequels. It was like a pretty awesome, very horror movie way to start, and we get a lot of horror movie vibes in this episode.
Yeah, it turns out when you're burnt to a crisp and you've lost like half your body and they're just sticking you with robotic shit, it's not going to be fun. It's not an easy process. And again, that's kind of the coolest part about Vader after we saw that at the end of Revenge of the Sith was just like how much that suit, he's more machine than he is man now, right? And you get to see that plus the anger inside him, plus just like the physical pain he must be in every time he gets it going. Very exciting shit. And at that point, I was like, all right, we're not going to end up on some faraway land and doing whatever. By the way, I'll just let this off the jump. I could not believe I got after this episode was over, it said, since you watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, go watch Phantom Menace. And I said, no, thanks. The amount of people that came back was like, that is a great movie. Why are you slandering Phantom Menace? Buddy, talk to prequel Stan, talk to prequel Fran, talk to my guy, Robbie Fox over here. That is your people. I will go to my grave saying Phantom Menace is not a good movie. And I just rewatched it 2 summers ago with everyone, the Lights Camera Barstool. We all did it, and we all were just like, oh my.
You could find that on their YouTube, by the way. That's a fun watch. Go back. We did all the Star Wars movies. We did some with Alex Sulkin. It was a really good time, those prequel watches. But something I want to bring up right off the jump. How about Hayden Christensen getting the bag, returning for like being a stuntman so far? I assume we're going to get a full prequel sequence or like a flashback sequence in some way, because so far there's been like 2 quick glimpses at his scarred face. That's it.
Shout out. It's like got all that money for the prequels to begin with, and then had to deal with a lot of hate. And this is kind of the sugar, the cherry on top, if you may. I'm hoping, and again, someone that doesn't like the prequels, I have no problem with the prequel timeline. They throw that shit back to the prequels, and we get Hayden Christensen, and we kind of like get some more scenes from that. I am all about that shit. Make it good. I have no problem with that at all.
Even if it's not a flashback, like maybe he has a dream, like he saw what looked like Hayden this week, where it was like, I assumed because he didn't know what the Vader suit looked like, when he heard Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker's alive, I think that's what he thought he was going to look like. And that's like what he was haunted by. It was like a PTSD. Oh my God, he's hallucinating him. Maybe he has a dream where it's like what could have been if Anakin didn't fall, and it's like we see Anakin as a full, master Jedi alongside Obi-Wan. Something cool that's almost like a Star Wars what if through a dream.
Yeah, and I was watching some of the old prequel that was, I think, during the like kind of the flashback leading up to this kind of the recap, I guess you would say. And I like Hayden Christensen does play that kind of cocky role. He knows he's Anakin. He knows he is like awesome with the Force, but he also has that dark side, the women and the children. I kind of like that side of him.
Oh my God, we saw that side of him this week. Holy shit! His castle I wrote looks as awesome as ever. I think this was like the first time we saw in live action him sitting at a chair in his office and whatnot, and he's talking to Reva. And
that's in Rogue One too, right? That's they say that
he has his castle on Rogue One, and they say he has that castle there to remind him of his greatest defeat. That's like it angers him just to even be there. He's like, this fucking sucks, but it makes him more powerful with the dark side. So he talks to Reva. He says, I know what you want. Like, you want to be the Grand Inquisitor. I don't give a fuck what you did to the Grand Inquisitor. If you get Obi-Wan for me, I'll give you that spot. And it was a common theme throughout the episode, watching the Inquisitors like fight for Vader's attention. I really liked that dynamic of them kind of backstabbing each other. I think it was like, is it the fifth brother with the third sister? Yeah, they were like going back and forth. She's like, oh, let me go tell Vader. It's like, he already knows. He was very pleased. I like that dynamic between them. Reva getting a ton of hate. I know the actors made the videos this week. We stand with her. I don't know. I swear, I don't know if I'm bad at picking up like quote unquote bad acting, what consists of that. There's not a moment in this series where I'm like, that's bad acting. Maybe that's on me. Maybe my taste is like to the point where I'm like, a dope. I mean, there were moments where the chase sequence, all of that, I acknowledge all that.
Yeah.
I can't pick up on what people consider bad acting if they think Reva is like a bad actress, because I don't think she is.
So I always say this, and I'm like very honest about it. Like the Room, bad acting, right?
Oh yeah, I can pick up on that. Yeah,
I can pick up on that, but higher stakes, bad acting. I always say, like, I have to ask the Light Camera Barstool guys if this is bad acting, bad directing, even some stuff with CGI. People are better at picking that up than I am. That's just, I'm not like a film guy like that. I kind of am just a big idiot. Goes, lightsaber fight. Here we go. So I know there's a lot of people that have this thing towards the actress, and I don't know how much it is the actress and the character, which again, coming back to Phantom Menace stuff or how it's written, it's like, can you really blame, say, a actress that has been in a couple of bad Star Wars and Marvel movies? There may be a curse that she has upon her. Is it her fault, or is it the people that made those projects? TBD. So I really don't know. Again, there's a lot of like anger about it. People are pissed off. I'll just tell you flat out, the Inquisitors in general, they don't really do it for me. And I think I had them. That. I held them to a high standard just based on what you guys said with the cartoons. These guys are a pretty badass bunch. Maybe it's that if you have lightsabers, but you're not like a Sith Lord or a Jedi, I kind of am like, you have to be basically the most badass people in the galaxy. They're not really that. So maybe that's part of the reason, but they don't do it for me as much as I was hoping they would. I do appreciate though, how like this Sith world is like Big Daddy Vader at the top. Obviously above him is the Emperor. And then it's like dog eat dog. It's kind of the way Portnoy, I think, likes Barstool to be run, where everyone's vying for his attention and he wants us all backbiting each other for the content it will make, right?
Correct, actually. Yeah. God, I guess Vader's running the ship here.
Are you Dave Vader?
Huh?
Do you think Dave is Darth Vader?
I mean, like you said, it's kind of how he runs the ship.
Okay, good. Clip it. Send it to him. We'll get him on the podcast to defend himself. Dave Portnoy basically confirmed for My Mom's Basement next week. Subscribe. It'll be on YouTube. Click on subscribe YouTube.
He doesn't kill the younglings, though. He's got the Go Prez Go crowd that is the younglings.
To be fair, I consider us Inquisitors. I think we are more closer on Dave's side than a fair amount of people at the company. No,
Yeah, I would agree.
I'd say it's like the people that make a shit ton of money for the company, and then there's like probably a few other people. But I think Clem and Robbie, I mean, trivia partner, and like his love of Octagon Bob is almost second to
none. Vader's voice, I wanted to note, James Earl Jones was credited in the actual credits, but it is an AI generated voice from his original trilogy audio.
That's very interesting. I was actually thinking that because when we hear Vader, I was actually thinking, I'm like trying to think of that it's Hayden Christensen saying this stuff now, because obviously it's a younger Vader instead of an older Vader. And I was like, Vader does have like some like very heady things to say for someone that's still pretty young, right?
Yeah.
You know, so the fact that it was, and obviously when anything said with James Earl Jones' voice, it sounds fucking awesome and has this like depth to it. It almost is like smelling like an old leather book or something like that. You know what I mean?
I actually think it sounded better in this episode than it did in Rogue One as well. He did new lines for Rogue One, and there was just something about it where you could tell James Earl Jones, it had been 40 years or whatever. His voice changed a little bit in that time. This sounded a lot more like the original trilogy. He said like third sister at one point, and like the way he said it reminded me of Return of the Jedi when he brings up Luke's sister.
Oh, your you have a twin sister.
Yeah.
Apology accepted, Captain Nita.
Yes.
And even the stuff he says to I'm gonna just call him Kenobi. It makes him sound like less of a pussy. When he's like, the years haven't been kind to you or whatever. I thought that was a cool thing. That again, it's hard to imagine Hayden Christensen 10 years after Sith saying that, which is kind of funny.
I loved the dialogue between Obi-Wan and Leia about the Force, where she's like, what does the Force feel like? He's like, it's like when you're in the dark and you turn a light on, like, what does that feel like? Safe. And later on in the episode, in the complete darkness, Obi-Wan for the first time turns on the light. I was like, oh, wow, it's like poetry. It rhymes. Obi-Wan started sneaking around like he was on the Death Star, I noted. Like some of his movements, I was like, oh my God, it's exactly like he's on the Death Star in A New Hope. This planet's name was Mapuzo. It was a mining district that him and Leia were kind of stranded on, looking for the agent that Kumail was going to set him up with. And then they got there and no one was there. And he had a perfect, like frustrated, almost New Yorker dad moment where he's just like, no one's coming, Leia. We're stranded. What's gonna happen? And like 2 seconds later, she's like, I'll get us a ride. And she gets him a ride. And this alien, I could have sworn was Seth Rogen. The whole episode, I'm like 99%. That's got to be Seth Rogen. It's not him. It's Zach Braff.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds like Zach Braff doing a Seth Rogen impression, doing an alien impression.
And he's like this weird little he's like a burrowing animal. What's the word I'm looking for? He's like a gopher, right? Like
almost
a space
like
gopher.
A gopher, but like with an almost anteater face. He's got a weird kind of, he's a cool looking alien. Freck, I think was his name.
I also loved that as Obi-Wan is all flustered, as this, no one's there to greet him, and you're just feeling like you just got by this fucking Canal Street fake Jedi. You just have Leia, a little 10-year-old, asking a million questions. It's absolutely perfect. Yeah. Again, from a dad angle. My kids will ask me nonstop questions, and are we there yet? For a 1-hour ride that they made to their grandparents' house 1,000 times. And the only way you can get them to shut the fuck up is by giving them iPads. How no one in this galaxy far, far away has invented the iPad yet with all the technology.
Well, he gives her Lola back.
He does give her Lola back.
That's his version of that.
And again,
he's like, play with this. Stop it.
Yeah, he's like, shut the fuck up. Here's your goddamn drone.
This is when he looks out into the distance and he sees Anakin. He sees Hayden in the robes. He just turns around for a moment. They're like, oh, who is that? Whatever.
I didn't notice that at first, by the way. And I just go, where the fuck did that Jedi go? I was so confused because I couldn't see his face. I was so goddamn confused. But I thought that was a cool twist.
It was. I couldn't tell who it was at first. And then the second time I watched it, I paused it and looked real close to the screen. I was like, yeah, it's Hayden. He looks like old Hayden. So I thought that was cool. I said, this was my note. I was like, what did this note mean? I said, say Leia louder, Obi-Wan. What the fuck? This is when he hitches a ride with Freck. The stormtroopers hop on. And out of nowhere, he just mentions that her name is Leia. They had this whole story that he beat into her head over and over. Remember, this is our story. We're farmers. This is your name. This is my name. And he calls her Leia. The stormtroopers are like, why'd you call her Leia? And he's like, that was her her mother's name. Sometimes I see her face and it just reminds me of her. And then it turns into, oh, you think of Padme. All right, he gets his way out of it. But he's connected with the Force again. I was kind of expecting a Jedi mind trick in this moment.
Obi-Wan is taking some fucking big time losses in my mind right now, and like he's moving down my power rankings. Granted, he's been through a lot. He's probably has 10 years worth of just fucking Tatooine brain, a bunch of fucking, but he's just making goddamn mistakes. That was so rough to watch him do. And granted, like, and you can't really blame the kid, but going with Luma instead of Leia, that's going to confuse. As an old man, I'm going to fuck up names. I'm already fucking up names. We just were on a podcast, and the Nick Plummer is this Met who's hitting home runs out of nowhere for us, this minor leaguer. KFC called him Jake Plummer, who was the old fucking quarterback for the Broncos and the Cardinals back in the day. You're just going to fuck up
names, shit. To be honest, yeah.
You're going to fuck up
Qui-Gon.
Shit. You did. You said Qui-Gon. Well, no, that is in my mom's basement canon. His name is now Qui-Gon. We've already been over that. But as soon as Obi-Wan called her Leia, I want you to put it in now. We have to do the soundbite. The Dave, ha ha ha! What an idiot! What a fucking idiot! And the only thing that saves him is that stormtroopers are the only things that are bigger idiots than Obi-Wan in this thing. And I can live. That's the one thing that, like, when all things are said and done, it's like, is this realistic? It's like, oh yeah, stormtroopers are the dumbest fucking things. And I tell myself it's because they're a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So they're basically just shit for brains at all times. And I guess I didn't realize, I was thinking that they were looking for a Leia. They weren't looking for a Leia. So I forgot about that at first because the last episode, Flea and the gang knew of Leia.
Yes. And I loved, like you said, how dumb the stormtroopers actually were. Like when he gives them the explanation, they're just like, oh, okay, carry on.
Got a little emotional, Bob. There was some fucking tears welling up.
It did. The driver, Freck, loved the Empire. He was like, he had an Empire bumper sticker. It was almost like whoever the political party you don't like is, picture him as that. Like he was encapsulating that. And they have a droid come in that inspects the whole place, and before it could like see Obi-Wan's face, he takes out the blaster, uncivilized as it may be, and he starts going ham on these stormtroopers, hitting people. He grabs Freck as like a human shield. I saw someone note, not very Jedi-like Obi-Wan, but like we said, 10 years after Order 66, he kind of throw the rule book out the window. Anything goes. This is a hardcore match now, and hardcore it was. He shoots a stormtrooper off a cliff in this scene, falls through a laser gate, splits him in half like he was Darth Maul.
For, again, a guy who hates blasters, the rudimentary, and what did you say? I say the rudimentary, what was this thing? It's uncivilized, right?
Uncivilized, yeah.
Motherfucker can sure as shit sling one, man. Holy cow, Obi-Wan is a fucking, like, the best blast. He's better than Solo in my mind. And that, like, everything else, Obi-Wan is just losing points by the minute. His brain isn't sharp. He's a fucking little bit of a coward. He's a definite bitch. The lightsaber skills aren't there yet. The fucking blaster skills are goddamn money. So do
you think the Force can influence it? There's got to be some kind of canon story about that where it's like almost like a video game cheat, like an aimbot, like boom, 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 boom with the Force.
Yep. And I also tell myself when he's telling the stories to them about Leia's mom, he's using the Force to try to like trick them and get the emotions going, right?
And Leia seems to be using the Force to like just get things out of people in this series, and I like that. Like the way she talks to people seems like she's like subtly using the Force in the same way Anakin didn't realize he was subtly using the Force to win pod races.
Exactly. Yep. That's a great call too. I would have also liked it if Obi-Wan was like, yeah, her mom, she was beautiful. I hit it a couple times. Her dad didn't know. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, he does take a kind of like a swipe or an admittance of guilt here when she's like, I wish you were my dad. He's like, I kind of wish that too.
I could have been your daddy.
Like, hey, whoa. Maybe Anakin was right about you, Obi-Wan. Were you kind of slipping in on the Naboo
going swimming in the Naboo fucking waters. Jesus, Anakin.
He also mentions he had a brother.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-2.
Oh, Bob, my notes, it says it right here. If they come out and say his brother is named Obi-2, I'm done watching Star Wars forever. I swear to God. We talked about it jokingly, like, oh, they better not fuck up the Obi-Wan name thing like they did in Solo. I swear to God, if there's an Obi-2 Kenobi out there, I am going to fucking blow up the entire planet of Stu John and everyone inside it.
I thought this was huge breaking news. People had told me apparently there's, I think it's Master and Apprentice, it might be. They mentioned that in that, it's like a canon book that he was taken away from this family early on, and there was a brother there. I like the idea of him having a brother because Anakin probably like filled a void for him in his life where he was his brother. I don't love the idea of, I don't want to see Obi-Wan's fucking Jedi brother in some alternate universe. Like, don't bring him in that way anytime.
I'm kind of interested to see what his brother's like. What do you think Obi-Wan's brother's like? Did they say if it's older or younger?
He said a baby. I remember a baby.
Okay, a baby. So
So I would assume younger.
I'm gonna say he's like a jock though, and he's not like smart. Like I feel like Obi-Wan's just you really get like the whole family's smart. You usually have the jock, you have the nerd, and Obi-Wan's the nerd. He's the guy with the force and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of just see this guy as some big old fucking jock. What's even a good sport in Star Wars land? Like what's the big sport out there?
There's that robot football that there's in the background of Attack of the Clones. There's robot football. There's pod racing.
So he's a robot football star.
Any athletic, I don't think. Yeah,
we're going with robot football. We're gonna go with robot football. He's a robot football star. But he's like kind of still reliving the glory days. He's selling, starfighter insurance. Like he isn't like a pro or anything. He's not making a ton of credits as a robot football player. Excuse me.
I picture him as like Adam Scott and Step Brothers. He's that kind of brother.
he's running the private jet. He's doing the whole Catalina wine mixer and everything. He crushes his very small corner of life.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A very small corner of life.
If you want to get yourself some tickets to robot football in the Star Wars galaxy, I would go to Game Time. Now, I don't know if they have these tickets. You might have to like use a VPN to go to Tatooine to get those tickets or something like that. But they are the newest ticketing app on the market that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute tickets on sports, concerts, shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. Like we tell you every week, this is a thing that we've known about, right? You wait until the last minute, get your tickets on secondary market, but Game Time just makes it easier. They filter everything through the right way. They guarantee the lowest price. I mean, the Rangers, unbelievable run right now. I would go to Game Time to get some tickets. They just beat Tampa Bay. As we record this, they're up 1-0 in the series.
Blue Shirt Bob is one of my favorite people. We got to get Blue Shirt Bob to a game. I saw Glenny Balls and Chief and Tommy Lay were at Game 7 of shoot. That was 2 series ago against the Penguins.
Game 6.
Oh, that was Game 6.
No, it was Game 7.
It was Game 7. Yeah, Clemmy Rangers is what we're talking right now. Bob.
I thought it was the last series. Yeah.
And the Game Time tickets are so incredible. I say if you want to live that Stu Finer life, but for that Clem budget, you can kind of do both. The way they do it, the Barstool exclusive ticketing app, it is absolutely incredible. How do they get the tickets, Bob?
You go to the Game Time app, you go to the account tab, create a login, and then redeem the code MMB for My Mom's Basement. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. I would use this if you were in the area on Paul McCartney at MetLife Stadium, June 16th. Oh my God, I cannot wait for that concert. Look, I get to say there's Paul McCartney now. Oh, it's shiny because I put the stuff on it, the healing cream or whatever. But now I got the Beatles on my arm. I like that. I have a band in both senses of the word. It's a band,
And we always ask for the hashtags or whatever sent to us. I want to see everyone, if you use the Game Time app and you use the promo code MMB, tweet us what you're going to, because I think we have the widest array of potential things out of all the podcasts at Barstool. You have sports, you have concerts, you have shows, all these different things that I think the basement is like the melting pot of entertainment. So I think that I'm excited to see what everyone uses, gets their $20 on.
Download the app, use the code MMB, $20 off your first purchase. And speaking of Step Brothers, everyone knows this by now, I think. And if you don't, I'm about to break amazing news to you. Over the summer, Jeff D. Lowe and Glenny Balls have a house together on the Jersey Shore. And I said to Rhea recently, I was like, I picture them by the end of the summer fighting like Step Brothers. Like Glenny's going to try to bury Jeff alive in the front yard on the beach or something. That's just how I picture that going.
So when you said that, it sounded as if this is the second year they've had the house. I know that there was a house last year, right? Is that what
they stayed at the High Noon house last year for Barstool versus America winners, I think. But they're like officially like going in as roommates on a house this summer.
Oh my God, that is the most amazing,
one of the most likable duos of all time, by the way.
That's the most amazing pairing of personalities, and I feel like we're either gonna get some Step Brothers or like a legitimate war between the two people. Like, remember when Glenny? I just thought of this the other day. I saw an old blog somehow popped up on my screen of when Glenny would just carry his computer with his hand, just right on the screen.
I think he still does it. He's a savage.
And I guarantee Jeff D. Lowe, the minute there's any dust in any of his 7 computers or monitors, he has that canned air and he has that thing clean as a whistle. Like, they are opposites attract. And the fact it's at the Jersey Shore makes it so fucking perfect.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, that's amazing.
DJs every night. I mean, that's that. There should be a new Jersey Shore season with them as the new cast.
And don't discount Jeff D. Lowe. Like, he's into like that, like the club and music. He has the fucking nice haircut.
I'm
has
sure
the,
KB
where's the
will
chain?
be down there all the time. Him and KB love the music together and all that. Yeah.
Oh man. And then old Papa Clem, I'll be on the other, I'll be like the next town over. So there's like Wildwood and Wildwood Crest, right? I'll be in Wildwood, which I believe, or no, Wildwood, I believe, is where the alcohol is like, there's like, the alcohol rules are a little more lax. That's going to be where everyone at Barstool, and I'll be in Crest, where it's like basically just family shit, and it's going to be two different worlds, basically. Oh, that's incredible, Bob. You just made my day.
It's a great duo. We get an Imperial officer eventually coming in. Stormtroopers, they corner Obi-Wan, and then the Imperial officer turns on her stormtrooper, shoots all them in the back, and she's here to save Obi-Wan. She's like, sorry, we were late, or you were late. The drop point was always going to happen. This wasn't a lie. This wasn't a scam. And the Imperial officer is none other than Pedro Pascal's sister from Game of Thrones.
Alaria Stand.
Or now in Star Wars.
I love this chick. She was a baddie in fucking Game of Thrones. I don't know if she was the Princess of Dorne. I think she was just, I guess she was, what's his name's brother, the Viper's sister, and they banged too. So there was a whole bunch of shit.
Yep.
My brain was in a pretzel trying to figure, like, this is worlds colliding here. And I think it was obviously there was sand on the planet too. So
yeah,
old man Clem, feebly, his brain was starting to break, but I like this actress. So I was thrilled to have her in Star Wars for sure. And her name is Tala. Which feels like
in the show, yeah.
Yeah, that feels like, is that like a legit Star Wars? I feel like I've heard that in Star Wars before. Is that a Star Wars known character?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, looks like
we
everything.
We do get mention of a Star Wars known character, and basically the next scene, she takes Obi-Wan to this like little warehouse, and then takes him into the back room of it. And there's basically an underground railroad for Jedi post Order 66. And that's what she works on. And Obi-Wan looks at the carvings on the wall. He starts reading it. And he goes, Quinlan was here. And I made a video on this. It's a short on the YouTube channel. But Quinlan, if you're not aware, Quinlan Vos, who he's referring to, is a character in the Clone Wars. He's a character in a lot of Legends comics, the Star Wars Republic series. He's a character in current canon stories. He is a Jedi scoundrel type who's a spy for the Jedi Council, and he got his start as just a random background character in the Phantom Menace. On set, I'm not even sure if he was supposed to be a Jedi there, but basically when that movie came out, they knew people were so Star Wars crazy that they had a backstory for every single background character there. His backstory for his action figure came with a lightsaber was that the Jedi Council sent him down to spy on the proceedings of Tatooine or whatever. So they brought him into the Clone Wars cartoon. He always butted heads with Obi-Wan. In stories, he's like turned to the dark side. He had a thing with Asajj Ventress. He always comes back to the light side. Here, they said he still like is smuggling younglings. And Obi-Wan almost has a look like, oh, fuck, like my old adversary, he's still fighting, and I gave it up.
Is he a good dude?
Like, yeah, he's a good dude. He almost has like a jock attitude. Like, I remember when he comes into the Clone Wars, his first scene, I think someone's like, what do I smell? Or something. And Obi-Wan's like, probably Quinlan Vos. He's like, I can't believe I got to deal with this motherfucker. And Quinlan comes down, like, pats him on the shoulder. He's like, hey, old buddy, what's going on? People think O'Shea Jackson may be playing him in this show because he's cast already. We know he's a part of the cast announcement, and that would be really cool.
How badass are we talking? Is Quinlan Vos on the ball scale, 1 to 5 balls?
1 to 5 is tough. He's pretty badass in the Clone Wars. See, I haven't read all the extended universe comics that he's a part of, so I'm sure if I underrate him,
yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm not going to underrate him, but listen.
Don't rate him at all. Don't rate him at all. I don't want to get you. I'm getting yelled at about fucking. Apparently, I was wrong. I thought the original trilogy and Empire in itself was the masterpiece of the Star Wars universe. Turns out Phantom Menace was, according to my mentions right now.
I was gonna say if Vader's 5, Obi-Wan's 4, he's a 3.
Okay, because I'm trying to I was trying to compare him to like another character. I'm thinking Marvel or Game of Thrones, and I was gonna say the Hound. Maybe where it feels like he's pretty badass, not like the most dominant person in the world, and has like a little bit of gray to him, right? Not quite light, not quite dark, kind of in the middle.
Helps out younglings. The
Helps
Hound
out
kind of helped
exactly.
out
Shout
Arya.
out
Yeah.
Arya. So I'm gonna call him the Hound. Unless, all right, that's gonna be what we're gonna have in the comments. Give me the Star Wars nerds. Give me Quinlan Vos's Game of Thrones comp, or tweet it at us.
Yeah, he's the Hound until proven otherwise.
Yes, he's our Hound.
And while he's seeing this little passageway for Jedi, trying to get Leia out, he senses something. We get the sense go off in his brain. And it's that Anakin is on this planet. Anakin must have hated that Obi-Wan took him to a planet with sand on it, right?
Gets everywhere. Wait, what is Anakin and now Darth Vader think of sand?
It's coarse. It's rough. It's irritating. And it gets everywhere. Everywhere. And especially when you get the suit on. Oh my God. I can't imagine. It probably gets in all the crevices. I wonder if that's like part of the suit. Maybe suit Gen 1, like Iron Man Mark 1. Sand could get into it. And then he told the Emperor, like, listen, we got to go back to the reconstruction facility. You got to make a suit that sand cannot get into.
Is it sandproof? That was his first question. Then is Padme alive?
And they're like, we couldn't yet do it. Yeah, that's what the no was really about. But he senses him, and then we see Vader walk down this street, I guess, this dirt road, this village, and he tries to bait Obi-Wan because he also senses Obi-Wan. Tries to bait him by just picking people up by the throat, choking him. He chokes a father. The son runs out, says, "Please, sir." "No, sir. Anakin, please." Well, and he doesn't know it's Anakin. I was just doing the voice of the original kid at the Jedi Temple. He throws that kid up against the wall and snaps his neck. It's even in the closed captioning, cracks neck. He just starts killing people left and right to bait Obi-Wan out. It eventually works. He gets Obi-Wan to run away. And then this is a great scene. We saw a poster of like the Darth Vader lightsaber and Obi-Wan standing there. The poster is from this scene. We see Vader's lightsaber ignite. It's like a fucking horror movie. It's so dark. You just see that one blade. Obi-Wan's saber ignites, but then he's not prepared at all. He does the Dave Chappelle, like knock the water off, and he's like, "I'm out of here."
I love the whole construction of this scene. I like how like the noise kind of goes away. You have the breathing, which again, anytime you have that Vader breathing, it just makes it dials it up. You're like, oh shit, bad things are about to happen. This is where the film begins, right? As a wise man once said. I like that he fucked with. It's kind of the running theme, unfortunately, for the Jedi. If you fuck with innocent people, the Jedi will reveal themselves sooner or later. Like the worst thing that could happen to a planet is that they find out Jedi are there, because then the Sith are going to come down and they're just going to ruin the lives of all the innocent civilians. Like Jedi should be like a pox. You're like, get the fuck out of here, man! You're going to ruin our shit. So I love the way that all took place.
That is kind of how Obi-Wan treated the Last Jedi. He was like, "Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah.
Fire your lightsaber." He's like, "I'm trying to hide out in this cave."
That's a good point. I actually just thought of if I was a Jedi, which, by the way, Obi-Wan explaining what the Force feels like. I'm now going to search for that, and like I think he kind of gave us a roadmap of how to use the Force. So I'm going to try to. And what I'm going to do is instead of cracking necks like Darth Vader, I'm going to like do like the nice crack of the back.
Just like in Spider-Man when they one of the Peters picks the other Peter up.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly. Like nothing feels better than like, or if you ever go to the chiropractor and they crack your neck and like it like makes it feel better. That would be like my Jedi power. Is I just go around and be like, I'm like, "Hey Clem, how's it going?" I'm visiting the office. I'm saying hi to everyone, and it's like, "Up, Clem's gonna crack my back for me without even having to like lift me up and potentially paralyze me. Just cracking backs in a good way." Vader, not so good, but this is the Vader we've been asking for. We always want the jaws. It's. I think there was a YouTube video. It was 3 minutes and 47 seconds of every Vader scene this episode, and obviously, the Rogue One scene is the gold standard. I don't know if we'll even hit that in this show, but this is the stuff that I am tuning into Kenobi for.
Absolutely amazing. I love the shot as well during this fight. It's right after this. Obi-Wan runs away from him initially. Vader kind of starts chasing him through the dunes. And then we just see darkness. And the only lights you see are the lights on Vader's chest and his belt. And it was just like, oh, fuck. Like I said, a lot of horror vibes. Legit, they kind of treat Vader as scary as he's ever been treated. Even in that Rogue One scene. Vader also, since he was a child, this guy's got a flair for the dramatic. This guy just absolutely loves a dramatic fight scene. He loves a dramatic entrance to a building. The breathing, I feel like he holds back. I feel like he holds his breath just to like hit it at the right moment.
I'm going to say this right here. You know how they always say, like, LeBron James, if he played soccer, he'd be the greatest soccer athlete of all time. If Anakin Skywalker was a professional hide and seeker, would have been the greatest hide and seeker of all time. He's so fucking good, and he has a fucking suit that breathes for him, and he somehow is able to sneak around, whether it's here, whether it's in Bespin. It's incredible. This guy just pops out of nowhere on us.
I wrote Return of the Jedi fight with Luke vibes in the darkness, where it was kind of just like Luke was running away from him, kind of, and he was just chasing him. Like, Obi-Wan is weak at this moment. He's not prepared. I think Anakin, in his mind, for the past 10 years, has been hunting Obi-Wan down, expecting a rematch with the same energy that he got on Mustafar. He's like, let's run that back, motherfucker. He's like a UFC fighter who got choked out, and he's like, are you fucking kidding me? I know I could come back from that. He finds Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's like, I don't want to fight. You fucking kidding me? I'm running away from you. Obi-Wan says, what have you become? And Anakin, or Vader, I guess, I should call him Vader at this point. Anakin is long gone. Says, I am what you made me. That was maybe my favorite line of the episode, because it's just like, he's fucking telling the truth. And we saw in the beginning of the episode, fake arm, fake legs. He needs a thing to breathe. He has to have a thing spiked into his chest. Like, you did this to him, Obi-Wan, and that's why he's so angry.
And you know who's watching as a Force Ghost going, you're goddamn right. Darth Qui-Gon. He's like, I told you he's going to bring balance to the Force. This is the guy I helped make because I knew you would fall as a mentor, Obi-Wan. So shout out to Darth Qui-Gon, seeing his plan finally come to fruition. It was absolutely
We didn't get him this episode, but it seems like we're getting closer to him, right?
I mean, Obi-Wan just keeps fucking calling the phone number and no one's answering. Sooner or later, he has to answer. It's fucking Chekhov's Qui-Gon.
I do like that he talks to him almost like, like when people pray to like a relative or whatever, when they don't pray to God or whatever. That's kind of how Obi-Wan, like, it seems like he's like praying to him. He's like, instead of saying like, oh God, please let me get through this, he's like, oh Master, please let me get through this.
Master Qui-Gon. And again, this whole time I'm so mad at ourselves for not pointing out that when Leia gets taken, you should be asking for the other role that was played, not Qui-Gon, but fucking the Taken. I don't remember the guy's name.
Fuck, what was his name? It's gonna drive me crazy because he's an all-time action movie character.
Yeah, Brian Mills.
Brian Mills.
So he's praying to the wrong Liam Neeson, basically, when Leia gets it. Now, when Vader comes,
he needs the multiverse to open up.
The multi-Neeson, and he just have like, which Liam Neeson should he use at any given point? I'm trying to think of some other Liam Neeson roles that would have been a better.
The Lion from Narnia. Just have someone fucking savaged by that guy.
Yeah, that's a good one. Does the Lion from Narnia have any kind of superpowers? Because I feel like you need some superpowers if you're dealing with Vader. I was
never into Narnia, really. I saw the first movie and I wasn't into that.
I did like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe as a book. I did never. Again, that was what got me into Turkish Delights. We talked
about this on the podcast. Yeah,
Turkish Delights was all because of Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. But yeah, Narnia kind of just like fell flat. That was something that needed to hit on the sequel, and they just fucking. It's like Star Wars. I feel like A New Hope, huge hit. If Empire flops, we may never have a third movie. Let alone we would have a third movie. They made so much money, but I don't think we have a fucking a prequel, a sequel trilogy, and then a Disney Plus series.
Clem, are you into Handball? Did you watch Handball during the Summer Olympics?
Bob Fox, Handball is the biggest highlight of every Summer Olympics is once Handball comes on the screen. I was like, oh, that's right, Handball's on, and everyone loves it. Everyone's convinced they could become like a pro handball player. And I think it's like lefty handball players are like, like lefty in baseball is always like important to have. They say like if you can be a good lefty handball player, you can become like a god in the sport, because it's really hard, I guess, the way to have that kind of strength or, with the hand and the angles you play. And shout out my boy Bobby. He is obsessed with it. Every single morning he has the handball going on like the, computer monitors at work. And it always is like, I'm always like, let's keep this momentum going. Handball it's such a fun sport. I loved it in gym. Did you play in gym? We used to play in gym, and then it would be like,
I did.
it would be like a regular goal, but then if you also got in like the basket, it was like 3 points if you play like with the basketball there. So it's just like a fun, easy watch. I love handball, man. It's the best.
Yeah, and our newest sponsor, the American Handball Company, wants everyone to know that handball is a hard-hitting, high-scoring sport that combines the best parts of basketball, hockey, and soccer. That sounds amazing, right? It's super popular worldwide, and it's finally coming to the United States. The American Handball Company, or TALK, is the top handball organization in the world. And whether you play, watch, or learn about handball, or you're a gym teacher who just wants to add it to their curriculum, they're here to grow the game. We're looking to grow the handball game here. Like Mincy, he grows the game. We're growing the handball game here.
I've always wanted to be part of a hashtag grow the game, but I like all the things I do are already been grown. All right, so handball is where I'm growing. I mean,
we're growing the game. There's dozens of teams, Clem, across North America.
Fellas, want to play some handball?
New York, Detroit, Miami, Toronto. We got to root for the New York team. We got to get some jerseys or something. Yes. And I think being a handball fan will make everyone's life better. Get a new sport in, especially around this time. Sports are going away right now. So make sure you follow official_TAHC. That's TAHC on Instagram and Twitter. Handball is here to stay. Hashtag grow the game.
The only way I will accept Obi-Wan Kenobi as an actual character is if he's a professional handball player. That's the only way I'll accept it.
Yeah, so we get actual lightsabers clashing at this moment. Obi-Wan is clearly way weaker than Vader at this moment. And it's interesting. People were like, are you kidding me? He says in A New Hope, you know, when I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. It doesn't seem like he was the learner in this fight. Guys, I think it's very, very clear. They're setting up for a rematch in this series where Obi-Wan is going to outsmart Vader and get away from him. I would stake my friggin' reputation on it. Vader force pushes him away. Obi-Wan cuts this thing. Smoke goes flying. Vader walks through the smoke like he's fucking Jason or Michael Myers or something. Yep. And then he spots, I guess, like a fucking flammable crystal box. He throws them down. And like I said, ECW style, takes his lightsaber, lights him on fire, and then drags Obi-Wan through the fire. And the way he does it, people pointed out, he like locks Obi-Wan's one arm. So he's like Anakin was, where Obi-Wan was just flailing one arm and one arm was locked in the fire. So he's burning him alive. People were like, oh my God, like Obi-Wan wears robes the entirety of A New Hope. You know, under there, does he have like horrible burns on his arm or whatever? And eventually he gets away. Obi-Wan gets the droid comes in, rescues him. Vader says to the stormtroopers, go get him. My final note was Vader could have gotten Obi-Wan. I would have liked maybe another line of like Vader just saying like, let him get away. Like we'll get him soon. Because I think that was what they were going for. I think Vader was one, almost like disappointed that Obi-Wan was not what he expected. And two, like, we fucking got this guy. Are you kidding me? This is the Obi-Wan? Like, yeah, we'll get him on the next planet or whatever.
I'm happy you said that because I was thinking the same thing. I didn't know if other people agree because I've seen pretty good reaction to the episode. But I left something, I was left yearning. And again, this is because Vader does catch a lot of L's during the original trilogy where everyone keeps getting away from him. Yeah. It's just like,
it is kind of a trope. Yeah.
Yeah. So to see it happen where it's like he has he's outnumbered. Obi-Wan is fucking petrified, which again, I understand because as we said earlier, he's looking for some fucking his buddy in a robe who might have a couple of scars from being burned like 10 years ago. And he finds this fucking machine that is fucking talking in James Earl's voice at him.
Yeah.
He has a new red lightsaber.
Like, where did that voice come from?
Yeah, right. And he like the red lightsaber is new because that like he's brand never seen that. So that's the first time he's fought it. So that is a fucking he's probably not even sure. He's probably like, how the fuck does this guy know all about me? And it's like, no, that's Anakin, dude. That's fucking that's the guy you burned up and he had he gets spikes in his chest because of it. It was crazy. And I loved it's kind of fucked up to say, but I loved how he wanted to just burn him alive, drag him on the coals,
torture him.
And I mean, Dudley Boys might be being even too nice. This is like some New Jack shit. This is some Sabu, Mick Foley, Terry Funk.
Where you're like, I think this is real.
Yeah, exactly. I was horrified as I was watching it. And I always like going back to the wrestling analogy. I like when if you use someone else's finishing move on them or there's some sort of a poetry in terms of the way that you're getting your revenge. I like how he wanted to like make Obi-Wan feel the pain he felt. So I dug everything about that. It was kind of weird that there was just like flammable crystals, whatever. I guess you have to just write it to have it make sense, right? You don't want to go too far. But man, and I also now realize why Obi-Wan aged like he did. Because he's probably in a cave in Tatooine being like, that fucking guy, James Earl Jones, he has a black mask. He has a cape. The cape is fucking Emperor Palp. Mwah. A+ design job on that cape, because the cape does make Vader a little extra intimidating when it's all said and done.
Totally. The Vader without a cape, like you ever see an action figure of Vader without the cape? It's like, oh, he looks weird. You put the cape on, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to shit my pants.
Vader without a cape on, you might as well just like have his like fly open. It's just like it's just not the same. So I loved everything about that.
I love the shot of him just staring through the flames too. There's a shot in the most recent Halloween movie, Halloween Kills, where they like light Michael Myers on fire in the last movie, and then the fire department comes at the beginning of the sequel, and they show up and he's just standing in the fire and he's killing all of them as they're trying to rescue him.
Jesus.
And it reminded me of that. And my girlfriend texted me the same thing. She's on a trip. She watched it by herself. She was like, that reminded me of Halloween Kills. It wasn't the most well-received movie. It's a fun, like crazy slasher movie. I thought it's, watchable around Halloween time, but they might have taken inspiration from it because it was a badass shot to open the movie. So I don't know. And then at the end of the episode, we see Leia captured yet again, this time by Reva. I mean, Leia just can't catch a break, walking into kidnappers left and right.
I'm just happy there wasn't like a chase scene. I sure hope there's not a chase scene. If she escapes, all right, Star Wars, Filoni, if you're listening, I know you're listening. If there's a chase scene, edit it out and reshoot. Just do it. Trust me, we do not want to see a third chase scene.
No, we don't want to see a chase scene. I have seen some speculation, and I like this theory, that O'Shea Jackson will play Quinlan Vos. He comes in, he brings Leia back to Alderaan. Obi-Wan hands her off, and then to get Vader off the tail of her, fights Vader. Obi-Wan fighting Vader is almost a distraction.
I like that a lot.
To get Leia back, yeah.
I did see some people thinking, do we think Grogu went through this underground Jedi railroad as well?
Oh, I didn't even think about that, but like possibly. I also have seen some speculation. How does Leia get away from Reva? Does Leia like remind Reva of herself as a young girl on the Jedi Temple before she went dark? Reva realizes, oh fuck, I'm on the wrong side here.
Yeah,
I can see that ending. That's a Star Wars-y type trope.
Yeah, Reva is so fucking like on the evil side. It does feel like she's going to have to come, to the other side, just based on everything we see from Star Wars. Oh, the only other note that I had from earlier that I don't know if this is just my dumb brain the way it works. I love that low droid. He didn't say a goddamn word.
I did like that droid.
I liked him. And I said he was like the mountain, which I don't know why I'm in Game of Thrones mode right now, but he's definitely not as strong as intended, but just like this big hulking thing that doesn't say anything. I'm talking zombie mountain. Like I don't know.
The stormtroopers tried to like interrogate him, and they're like, he doesn't understand you, but you like, there's something in you that are like, I think he understands.
I think he understands. Yeah.
It's almost like a dog where you're like, oh, you understand me, right? Like you just want to believe.
There's a movie too where he's like, oh, he doesn't understand what you're saying. He's like, go fuck yourself. And he's like, oh, he can understand what I'm saying. I forgot what movie it is. Anyone who thinks they may know the movie, it's not the exact line. Yeah, drop it in the comments. Hit us up on Twitter.
Make sure you like the video as well. We've been doing Stranger Things recaps on the channel. So if you watch Stranger Things and you're listening to this on the podcast feed, go over to our YouTube channel. We're doing just 20-minute quick hitters on every one. 15, 20 minutes on every episode. It's quick. It's the things that we would have tweeted while we were watching the episode. And I think they're fun. And I think if you are a Stranger Things fan and you're like skeptical about this season, don't be. This is a very good season.
Yeah, get into it. You probably like, that's the good thing is that Kenobi is once a week. So once you're done with that, you can just hop into Stranger Things. It's at the point where now I'm like, to my wife, I'm like, savor the flavor, honey. We have only 3 episodes left now at this point. No, now we're down to 2. I'm like, let's not burn through because we're gone until 4th of July weekend. So everyone take it easy. And again, if you're listening to some podcast feed, it's a YouTube exclusive.
All right. Make sure you like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next week for another Obi-Wan Kenobi episode recap.